Okay, this instructional video is going to show you how to do a fresh installation of Mac OS X Mavericks on VMware Workstation. Now, this will work for 8, 9, or 10. I believe 8 is the minimum that you need to run Mavericks. Okay, and this is going to make it so you have a bootable solution for you to be able to install as many instances of OS X as you need. Okay, so first thing we're running here is we already have our OS X Mountain Lion that's been running for a little bit here now, and we need this actually to set up our it's similar to a USB key. What I'm going to do, it's basically a second drive I'm going to add on to here, which then you can use to boot any Mavericks installation in the future. Okay, now if you don't understand what I mean by that, you'll get it as I progress through the demonstration here. Alright, so before we get started, we need a couple things in place. First off, right now we're on Mac OS X Mountain Lion, as I said. We're going to add an additional hard drive to it. This is part of how you're going to be able to make a bootable installation of Mavericks. So we're going to go ahead and add an additional drive. Create a new disk. 10 gigs is just fine. Stored as one file, so we can move it really easily, and I'll show you why that's important in the future. And let's go ahead and name this OS X installer. That's our installer drive that we're setting up. So already you pretty much imagine what we're doing. We're going to be doing the same process as it would be to make a USB key, except we're doing it with a hard drive that's virtually installed onto our system, and that very hard drive can be saved and used to make future installations. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. In the meantime, we also make sure our ISO is loaded. And by the way, this is the install OS X Mavericks app file. It's normally a DMG, and that's a good point that I wanted to bring up. If you have it as a DMG, you need to note that you need to make it an ISO. VMware on Windows, well, Windows doesn't read DMGs. So when you get your copy of the program, or the OS X installer, you're going to notice that it's not going to be readable. So what you're going to do is you're going to get this handy program called Ultra ISO. You're going to Google for it, download it. It's free, at least free to try. It's for 30 days, and you're going to go ahead and continue to try it. And there's this tool here called the converter, or a converter tool. You're simply just going to go ahead and click on that on Ultra ISO, the trial version, fully functional. You're going to pick on your install osx.app.dmg, and you would open it, and at that time hit convert to standard ISO. Just hit convert. It takes a couple minutes. Bam, you now have an ISO version of the file. Really easy. You know, easiest program to work with. Don't use Magic ISO. Don't use any of the other ones, because they have a limit as to what they can process, and they'll just give you an error. So this is definitely the best way to do it. So just so you know. So now we're going to go ahead and make sure that we are on this ISO. On the CD drive, we've added our new hard drive, and we're going to hit OK. And that looks like we're pretty much ready to go. So we're going to power on the machine. And I'm going to go ahead and time lapse this so we're not waiting here for a couple minutes. Okay, now once you get started here, you're going to see it's going to ask you to initialize this new drive. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to pop up in the disk utility. And this is the process where, if you've seen how to make a USB key, it's going to seem pretty similar. You're going to go ahead and partition the drive. You're going to go ahead and partition one partition, excuse me. Make sure it's on Mac OS X OS Extended journaled. And options GUID, it's all defaults. This is really easy, so you got to really do nothing, and just hit apply and partition. Don't use as backup, we don't care about that right now, and we're all set to get started. Alright, so now that we closed the disk utility and we want to go ahead and continue on with this, we first need to take a couple of steps. And first thing we want to do is have the ability to see hidden files in the system. Now, normally you do that through terminal and enter a bunch of stuff. I'm very lazy. I believe that there should be an app for just about everything, so I found one, and it's called Hide Unhide. Does exactly what it's supposed to do. Very simple. Once it's activated, it shows the hidden files in the system. When it's off, it doesn't. That's it. So now it's showing hidden files because I'm seeing this, so I know that's working. So now I'm going to go to the Finder, our ISO that we mounted, which is a CD, a DVD, excuse me, that OS X sees. We're going to go ahead and right-click on this and show package contents. Contents, shared support. We're going to mount install esd.dmg. Skip the verification. We don't need to do that. We know it. We know it's there, and it works. Now, see these little grayed out files? These are the hidden files. This is what we need to be able to get to. So we're going to go ahead and click on this. Open. Skip the verification. And we have now mounted everything that we need. Now we're going to go back to our handy disk utility. Okay. Now this is again where it's similar to doing the USB key, right? This looks like those steps. It is exactly those steps. Except that instead of using the USB key, we're actually just using an internal drive, a virtual drive, to do this. So I'm going to click here. We're going to go ahead and, actually I'm sorry, we're going to hit the OS X base system, click on that, and we're going to go ahead and restore to Untitled 1. And we're going to click Restore. This will erase the drive again, and it's going to end up naming it what this is. That's fine, that's what we want. I'm going to time lapse this for a second. Almost there. And don't use as backup. It's going to reopen everything. So now, what do we have? We have two OS X based systems, a DMG off of everything we've mounted, and now it's here. Okay, but our work is not done yet to make this function. So now we're going to close out of this. We're going to go to Finder. Now we're going to notice that we have two of these, so we need to make sure we know which one's which. Basically to determine very easily which one's the drive and which one is not. When you click on one of them, see how this one's gold right here? Yeah, that's the drive. And then this is the mounted file. So we know that we're not messing with the wrong one when we're doing this. Okay, so now we're in the actual drive, and we're going to go ahead and go into System, Installation, and there's an alias here, shortcut. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this. Okay, delete it. So off to the trash you go. Good, it's gone. Now we need to replace that with the actual packages file. So we're going to open a new Finder window. We're going to go to the where are we going to? We're going to packages here in the install DMG. Now, oops, sorry about that. The OS X, excuse me, install ESD file that we mounted. We're going to go ahead and bring the packages file or folder into here. Okay, so very simple. I'm going to go ahead and take that. We're going to drag it over and drop it. Now this is a 4 gig copy, so it's not going to be super fast. So let's go ahead and let that roll through. Now, it says about what? No, this is not that long. Thing is that since I'm also recording this, this is not the fastest computer on earth. I'm running it on a virtual machine. The time is all off. But this really should take about maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes tops. So we're going to time lapse it, make it easy. All right, so we're pretty much ready to go. Everything's copied over. Here's our mounted files that we had set up, and here's our drive, so that's good to go. Everything's inside. We can now go ahead and shut down Mountain Lion. We're no longer going to be using it, which I will also time lapse to make things go quicker. Alright, perfect. So we're powered off, and now we're going to go ahead and build our new machine and use our brand new installer drive. So you're going to go to Home. We're going to create a new machine, Custom. I will install the operating system later. Make sure that's selected. Apple Mac OS X 10.9. Good. Alright, good. Actually, my folder is just VM, so let me fix that. Yeah, good. Perfect. I like using bridge networking, by the way. Create a virtual disk. Yeah. 40 gigs is good. And stores one file. That's how I personally like it. Okay, and finish. Alright, so there's our unformatted drive. Okay, so now what's going to happen is when this first boots up, it's going to look for media that works. So this drive is not going to boot up because it's not formatted or partitioned, so it's going to skip it. CD-ROM's got nothing in it, so it's going to go straight to our new drive that we're adding here, which is our installer drive. Use an existing disk, and I'm just going to go right to Mountain Lion's folder. There's our OS X installer drive. Done. Hit OK. Done. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and power this machine on. Let's make sure we're out of the everything else. Okay, there's the VMware logo, and if this did its job, there we go, Apple logo, perfect. And as you can see, the second drive is firing away. The first one is empty and not partitioned at all. So now don't worry about this thing stopping. It for some reason happens that way. You see the mouse is fine. This is not really locked up, so it just looks like it is.
Press the return.
I actually stopped it because I was going to time lapse it, but it just ended up loading right away. So okay, so we're good, and that's it. There's your setup. So it's pretty simple. Now we're going to go ahead and begin. And let me get to that little point that I wanted to get to before we finish it up. When you go to install, and after you hit agree, you're going to notice there's no disk at all to work with. That's fine. That's because we have an unformatted disk in the system, and it's not going to try to install over its restore drive. So go to Utilities, System, where are we going? Oh, sorry, Disk Utility. And what do we have here? Our unformatted drive. We're going to go ahead and partition it. Yeah, whatever, that's a good name for it, right? Mac OS Extended Journaled, GUID, all the defaults are the same. And apply. And partition. Mounting disk. and partition complete. So we're good. We close that and boom, there we go. And then of course you would click on that drive and hit install. So that wraps it up for this. Now you know that you can make it that way. I am going to go ahead and do a second video when I get a chance of how to do a bootable ISO that you can take with you from, and it should also work in Parallels. I have to test it, but I'm pretty much sure of how I can do that. So I'm going to finalize that and put that together for you, and I hope you enjoyed how to make yourself an installer drive. And before I go, I did want to mention one thing. I wanted to go ahead and let you know that now you can take that drive and move it anywhere. So here it is, your OS X 10.9 installer drive. Take it anywhere, move it to a folder and pop it into whatever virtual machine you need, and you're good.